Every civilization believes it will last forever. But few dared believe it as completely as Rome. From a small settlement beside the Tiber River, Rome would rise to dominate the known world, stretching from the misty hills of Britain to the deserts of Arabia, from the Rhine to the Nile. For 1,000 years its armies, language, and laws defined power. But empires are living things, they grow, age, and die. And Rome's story is not only about conquest, but about what happens when success itself becomes the enemy. According to legend, Rome began in 753 BCE when Romulus and Remus, twin sons of Mars, were raised by a she-wolf. Archaeology gives us a humbler truth: shepherd villages on the Palatine Hill, trading with the Etruscans. Early Rome was ruled by kings, some historical, some half-myth. But by 509 BCE the Romans overthrew their last monarch, Tarquinius Superbus, vowing never again to be ruled by one man. In his place they built something radical for its time: a republic, a system of checks, balances, and civic duty. Power rested in the Senate, drawn from patrician families, and in 2 annually elected consuls who commanded armies. It was imperfect, elitist, but it gave Rome something no rival possessed: a political engine built to endure crises. Rome learned early that conquest alone was never enough. Its genius lay in turning enemies into Romans. After defeating neighboring Latin and Etruscan cities, Rome offered alliances instead of annihilation. Conquered peoples gained partial citizenship, the right to trade, even to serve in Rome's legions. This policy of inclusion through control allowed Rome to raise armies of staggering size and loyalty. By 264 BCE it dominated the Italian peninsula and was ready to face its first great challenger, Carthage. The Punic Wars were 3 epic conflicts fought between Rome and Carthage from 264 to 146 BCE. They were wars for trade routes, pride, and survival. In the Second Punic War, Hannibal Barca led an army, and his war elephants, across the Alps, defeating Rome repeatedly at Trebia, Lake Trasimene, and Cannae. At Cannae, 216 BCE, nearly 50,000 Romans died in a single day, the worst defeat in Roman history. Yet the Republic refused to surrender. Under Scipio Africanus, Roman legions struck back, invading North Africa and defeating Hannibal at Zama. By 146 BCE Carthage was annihilated. Its lands became the Roman province of Africa, and Rome now ruled the Mediterranean, Mare Nostrum, RC. Victory made Rome rich, but unevenly so. Spoils of war flooded into the hands of generals and senators. Meanwhile, small farmers, the backbone of the Republic, were ruined by cheap slave labor and massive estates known as latifundia. Wealth inequality grew. The city swelled with the poor, surviving on bread and circuses, while political violence became routine. Reformers like Tiberius and Gaius Gracchus tried to redistribute land and opportunity. Both were murdered by the Senate, the first blood spilled in a century of civil strife. The late Republic became a battleground of powerful generals. Marius and Sulla, Pompey and Caesar, each using legions more loyal to themselves than to the state. In 49 BCE Julius Caesar crossed the Rubicon River with a single command: the die is cast. Civil war followed. Caesar defeated Pompey, seized power, and declared himself dictator for life. His reforms stabilized Rome temporarily, expanding citizenship, reforming debt, and curbing corruption, but to the Senate, he was a king in disguise. On the Ides of March, 44 BCE, they struck him down. His assassination did not save the Republic. It ended it. Out of chaos rose Caesar's heir, Octavian, later called Augustus. In 27 BCE, he offered to restore the Republic. And the Senate, exhausted by war, handed him absolute power. Thus began the Roman Empire. Under Augustus, peace, the Pax Romana lasted nearly 2 centuries. Roads stretched 250,000 miles. Cities flourished. Trade connected 3 continents. Rome became more than a city, it was an idea, order, law, and empire. The empire thrived on infrastructure and administration. Aqueducts carried water to 1 million citizens. Roman law standardized contracts, property, and citizenship. The legions, disciplined, professional, and mobile, enforced peace from Britannia to Syria. Provincial elites adopted Latin and Roman customs, yet retained local identity. This blend of unity and diversity became Rome's greatest strength. But the empire's size demanded ever-increasing taxes, soldiers, and bureaucracy, the weight of greatness pressing on its foundations. By the 3rd century CE, Rome faced crisis on every front. Barbarian invasions along the Rhine and Danube, Persian armies in the east, plagues that decimated cities, inflation that shredded the value of its currency, the denarius, once pure silver, now a shadow of its former worth. The empire nearly collapsed in the crisis of the 3rd century. In 50 years, more than 20 emperors rose and fell, most by assassination. Diocletian tried to restore order by dividing the empire in two, east and west, and instituting price controls and rigid hierarchies. It bought time, but at the cost of freedom. Out of the chaos rose Constantine the Great. On the eve of battle, he saw a vision in the sky. He legalized Christianity and built a new capital, Constantinople, on the Bosporus. The empire's heart shifted eastward, wealth and trade following. Rome the city remained a symbol, but power was now in the Greek-speaking East. Christianity gave the empire new unity, but also divided pagans and believers, politics and faith. Rome was no longer just an empire of armies, it was an empire of souls. The Western Empire, weakened by civil war, corruption, and economic decay, faced growing waves of migration and invasion. The Visigoths, seeking refuge, rebelled and sacked Rome in 410 CE, the first time in 8 centuries the Eternal City had fallen. Later came the Vandals, crossing from Africa, looting what remained of imperial wealth. In 476 CE, the Germanic general Odoacer deposed the last emperor, Romulus Augustulus. No trumpet marked the end. Rome simply ceased to rule. Rome fell, but it never truly died. Its laws shaped Europe. Its roads became the paths of pilgrims and merchants. Its language, Latin, gave birth to Italian, Spanish, French, and more. Every capital that came after, Constantinople, London, Washington, called itself, in some way, the New Rome. Empires still rise and fall for the same reasons: ambition, inequality, overreach, and lost purpose. Rome's warning endures. Power survives only as long as virtue does. From wolf and twins to emperors and ruins, Rome remains humanity's grandest mirror, reflecting what we can build, and what we can destroy. Every civilization thinks itself immortal, but history whispers otherwise.